Okay, joining me right now is Mary McNamara, Director of the Cleveland Department of Aging. Mary, thank you so much for joining me.
It's good to be here, Dan.
Have you been outside?
I have.
It's cold.
It's cold.
It's very cold. And I think a lot about the Department of Aging. You look at a lot of, take care of a lot of Cleveland seniors through resources. I wonder if today you could talk to me about some of the resources to help our seniors stay warm, stay heated, stay safe this winter.
Absolutely, yes. We want people to feel safe in their home and know where to turn when they need help. So first, if I can, I'll talk about furnace repair. Because when it drops to these low temperatures, your furnace is working overtime. And so a regular call we get at the Department of Aging is, one, how do I find a trusted contractor? And then the second is, I can't afford the cost of the repair. So let me talk first about that, which is if you can't afford the cost of the repair, there are two great nonprofits in our community that do provide furnace repair for income-eligible homeowners. The first is called Community Housing Solutions, and these agencies have been around for decades, so they can be trusted. So Community Housing Solutions, their main office for home repairs is over on West 45th Street. And it requires an application. There is an income threshold, but all you need to do is call them and find out if you're eligible for it. And they can do a furnace repair or a whole furnace rebuild. And the number to Community Housing Solutions is 216-651-0077. The other agency is CHN Housing Partners. And they're over in the Asia Town Plaza. And again, a trusted agency. They're at 216-574-7100. Now, I'll tell folks this isn't an overnight repair. There is an application process, and you have to provide supporting documents. But if you're able to, whether through using a space heater or relocating, that cost would be at none to you. It would both agencies would cover it.
Oh, that's huge, and cost is especially a factor. But let's say we have, a lot of our seniors are probably on fixed incomes, and their heating rates, their gas rates skyrocket. Are there any programs that can help them lower the cost a little bit to make it a little bit easier?
Absolutely. So people might be familiar with this phrase HEAP. It stands for the Home Energy Assistance Program. And that's a statewide program through the Ohio Department of Development. And there's two phases to it. There's regular HEAP, which people can apply every year for, and it arrives as a credit on your bill. Those applications we have in the Department of Aging. You can also find those online. There are income eligibility that I think you'll show on the screen for it, but it's a benefit someone could get every year. And I hear seniors call and tell me, Mary, that saved me $300 on my gas bill. Huge. And in a month like this, where it's dropping to 5 degrees next week, your gas bill's gonna really spike. And so that's regular HEAP. There's also emergency HEAP. So if you can't wait that time to get that credit and you need help right now, it's in disconnect status or it's already been disconnected, you can apply for what's called the HEAP Winter Crisis Program.
Okay.
And you do that by calling one number, which is 216-350-8008. This program goes through March 21st of 25. And essentially, through this program, the reconnection fee is paid to get your utilities back on. So that $175, and then additional funds often to help support the high bill that you had. So that's called emergency HEAP. But Dan, if I could, I would also just like to mention the Winter Reconnect Order. So that is different than HEAP, but this comes from the state again, and it's if someone's electric or natural gas is getting ready to be shut off or is already shut off, a customer can walk into their utility and pay $175 through this winter season. This ends April 15th, and it gets turned on for $175. Now, whatever the remaining balance is, you put on a payment plan for it.
Great.
But someone could get it turned on tomorrow. And that's important to know. That's the Winter Reconnect Order.
Now, I should say that, Mary's given out some great information. This is all in this handy pamphlet, this newsletter. These resources and even more. How can people watching get this newsletter, this pamphlet?
It is hard to keep up with this all, and that's why we created this. So we have thousands of these in the office. We've distributed them around the community. Someone could call the Department of Aging at 216 1-800-664-2833. It's also online on the city's webpage. Look for the blue flyer. We'll mail it out to you. We'll walk you through these steps and match you with what you need if you call us.
You know, of course, you have a great team over there at Department of Aging. If someone calls and says, I'm trying to go through this paperwork, I'm having trouble, is there any kind of assistance?
Application assistance is one of the key services we provide. Collecting the documents, making copies, dropping off. A team member did that yesterday for a furnace repair for someone, so absolutely.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about our seniors, and I think a lot about even our residents who live in apartments in town where all of a sudden the heat is just not on and they're not getting any answers. What can someone do if they're in an apartment and the heat just conks out, but the landlord's not getting back to them? Are there any kind of recourse they can take?
Yeah, that's a scary situation, right? Because you're not responsible for it as the renter. And so I would say the first thing to do is call the city's 311 number. So that's dialing on your phone, just 3 digits, 311. You're going to be connected to a live person, and you're going to tell them the address, and they will route that to building and housing. If someone calls our department with that issue, that's the same thing we do via 311, and we alert building and housing so they can quickly get out there and see what's going on, contact the landlord if necessary, connect someone to warming centers. The city has stood up warming centers on these very cold days. So we want to hear from them, and then we'll walk them through that.
You know, and finally, we talked about a lot of the resources available for our seniors, but in this handy brochure, there is a section of winter weather safety tips. Mary, let's go through a couple of these. Talk about some big safety tips.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you one I did today. The shoes I'm wearing now are not the shoes I left the house in. So putting proper footwear on when you're going outside. I put on boots that have a sturdier sole and would protect me more from the risk of falling. So that's one of the steps you can take to prevent falls. I think you want to make sure that if you have to use a space heater, you want to make sure you give a space heater space. So nothing should be within 3 feet of the radius of that. I also, be a winter buddy to someone else. Check it on neighbors. Make sure they have heat. Maybe lend a hand and be a snow buddy and shovel for someone else that is at a higher risk for falling.
You know, Mary, everything here is just fantastic. Again, how can people get this brochure? How can they contact the Department of Aging?
Call us, 216-664-2833. You're going to talk to a live person, and they're going to get you set up.
Great advice. Mary McNamara, Director of the Department of Aging, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thanks, Dan.